This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, so good morning again, everyone. Thank you for coming to this month's Chamber Council, whether you're here in person with us. We have a few folks here in house. Also, for all you folks on the call too, thank you for coming. This month's Chamber Council is on how to manage change successfully. During these ever-changing times of uncertainty, it's now more than ever to successfully manage change, especially the members of the Chamber and the nonprofit sector to manage, pivot, and learn how to adjust during all these changing circumstances. So today we have Jennifer Maddox, MBA, CAP. She is the president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Northeast Alabama since 2011. The foundation's mission is to achieve positive change through generosity of donors now and for generations to come. The Community Foundation serves 9 counties, including Calhoun, Clay, Cleburne, Cherokee, DeKalb, Etowah, Randolph, St. Clair, and Talladega. Jennifer holds a Bachelor of Business Administration degree in Finance from the University of Houston and a Master of Business Administration from the University of Notre Dame. She earned her accreditation as a Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy from the American College in 2016. As a native of South Bend, Indiana, Ms. Maddox has taught at Brown Mackie College, the University of Notre Dame, Purdue University, and for Abate of Indiana, and the Claiborne County Extension. She's an in-demand speaker and consultant for nonprofit organizations on a variety of topics, including governance, management, fundraising, leadership, managing change, and strategic planning. Jennifer currently serves on several boards, including the Alabama Giving as president of the Rotary Club of Anniston as past president. She is a member of First United Methodist Church and serves in leadership capacity. She's also been the president of the Rocky Hollow Neighborhood Association since 2012. The neighborhood is home to the historic Woodstock 5K. If you're a runner, make sure you run that. It's a great race. She's a member of the Women's Executive Network, the Junior League of Anniston, Calhoun County, and the First Friday Women's Forum in Gadsden. Jennifer was honored by the Junior League in 2015 with the Natalie Henderson Award. She's also a graduate of Leadership Calhoun County, class of 2013, and Leadership Alabama class of 2016. She is currently a member of the St. Clair County Leadership class of 2020. She was also recognized in 2016 as one of Calhoun County's most influential business leaders in the Anderson Star's the Power 20 issue. Jennifer and Mark Stevens have been married since 2004. She's a history of community service for over 40 years, including volunteering, serving on numerous non-profit boards, not-for-profit leadership, and consulting. Jennifer is passionate about community foundations and how they can benefit the people and communities that they serve. So let me unmute Jennifer really quick. And hang on 1 second. And Jennifer, you can take it away.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Well, appreciate the opportunity to be here, be with you on the virtual meeting, be here with you in person. So I have given a lot of presentations to small and large groups, and I have given presentations both in person and through WebEx and Zoom and other virtual meeting technology. But this is my first to do both at the same time. So you're on a little journey with me on my own change to do something new in my life today. So I'm going to see if I can't do you proud. So we're here today to talk about how to manage change successfully, and you might think, well, I think I've been successful so far with all the things that we've had to go through in the last few months, and that's probably very, very true. And so we're going to talk a little bit about change and give you some new pointers and new ways to think that might be helpful to you. But of course, before we begin, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Community Foundation Northeast Alabama, because that, of course, is my passion and who I represent today. So our mission is to achieve positive change through the generosity of donors now and for generations to come. As you can see, and Will mentioned, we serve 9 counties in Northeast Alabama, and we've been the philanthropic partner here in this area since 1999. We manage over 200 charitable funds. It's up over 220 now. We annually receive between $1 and $2 million in gifts a year from a wide variety of individuals, as well as we make distributions from all the funds that we manage of about $1.5 million a year. One of the things I'm most proud of is that we are both compliant with national standards for community foundations, which is something that not all community foundations can say. There's about 750, 800 of them across the country. We were one of the first to get that designation and have maintained it ever since. And that we have the platinum rating from GuideStar, which means that only a very small percentage of not-for-profits go that extra mile to get that rating from GuideStar. In fact, 0.003% get that rating. So with that, I want to tell you that we focus on 3 key areas. We focus on effective donor philanthropy. Those 3 individuals that you see on the screen are individuals that are on our board of trustees. And as a board member, they are also a donor. Nanda Patel, you may know, she is the owner of the Holiday Inn here in Gadsden. Tommy Goggins is a investment advisor, but his wife Erica has a dance studio here in town. If you have any daughters in your families, they might learn from her. And then Dr. Martha Lavender, who recently retired as president of Gadsden State Community College, retired last week, as a matter of fact. So we have a great group of individuals representing your area on our board, as well as we have other funds here, that organizations that have started funds with us, like Nakalula Falls, the Friends of Nakalula Falls, Span of Etowah County. We have Donor Advised Funds, Beautiful Rainbow, a number of others. So the first thing is the donors. The second thing is impactful grant making. And we give grants across our region. These are just some of the organizations that have received grants from the Community Foundation. You might not know. And there's a lot on that screen, which means we've been doing a lot of grant making in the Etowah County area, from the Cultural Center, Salvation Army, to mental health, to the health clinic, to Boys and Girls Clubs and Big Brothers Big Sisters. There's quite a few. That's in public library. We've done a lot of work in that. If you're a not-for-profit that has not applied for a grant from the Community Foundation, there's information on our website, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And the third thing that we do is we focus on collaborative community partnerships. And so we collaborate with not-for-profit organizations to achieve our mission. One of the most visible ones that we do is when it comes to tornado recovery work. We've done that twice, in 2011 and then most recently this past year. Of course, we have partnered on the COVID response in our communities in the area that we do. We host, we're the home for Worlds of Work, East Alabama Works, which is a workforce development program, and the Standards for Excellence program. There's a lot of collaborative partnerships we do. If you're thinking of something and you need a collaborative partner that has our expertise, certainly give me a call and I can tell you if we might be a good fit. So those are the 3 areas that we focus on. You can learn more about the Community Foundation on our website. It's www.yourcommunityfirst.org. And on the tabs on the top, you'll see one particularly that I mentioned earlier, grants. And you can click on there and learn more about grants from us. If you have any questions about the Community Foundation, you can certainly ask me. And you can, my email address, and if you click on About Us and go down to staff, you'll see my picture and my contact information. So I'm glad to discuss possibilities of partnering. So that's the trade, the thing about the Community Foundation. We're going to move on to what you're here for, which is managing change successfully. And this is a picture of obviously of a peer. And you're wondering what that have to do with change. Well, I want to tell you a little story about when I was growing up. I can't remember when I learned to swim. I was swimming from, I think, maybe 1-year-old plus. I can't remember learning. I just knew how. I know that I learned how to water ski when I was 5. And so you can imagine I was a swimmer. I mean, 5 years old, right? So at 7, my mother puts me in formal swim lessons, and I go to swim lessons, and I know all that stuff, and I advance right through it, right? I mean, I'm at intermediate or advanced or whatever at 8. And then I get a chance to go to camp, and it's a place called Camp Tonaduna up in Michigan, and I'm from originally Indiana. And this was a 2-week camp. I had sold enough candy to go for free. I was excited. I was going. And the first week, they say, you have to take beginner swim lessons. And I was pretty offended. I just said, I don't need swim lessons. I already know how to swim. I can water ski. I've taken all these classes. I know how to do this. And they said, well, that's our rules. You have to take a beginner class or you can't swim. And, when you're a child, you get really stubborn. And I'm just not going to swim. Well, so I sat on that dock first day. The whole hour I just sat there. Second day, I at that time could be pretty stubborn. And I sat on the dock the second day. On the morning of the third day, one of the counselors came over and sat down next to me, and she, said, "So, you don't want to do this, right?" I said, "I don't have to. It's a little protest." And she said, "Well, you can sit here every day for the next week and a half and never swim at all. Or you can just go and do the class and at least do some swimming next week." And I sat there and I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I realized some swimming was better than no swimming, and I gave in. And I did it. And that was the first lesson that I learned about change, about changing the way that I think, about something. And so that's a lot about how to manage change successfully, is about the way that you think about things. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So we got change ahead. It's coming. It's already here for many of us because of COVID-19. I want to talk about the history of change too. So if you're my age or older, you will remember what's in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. It's a manual typewriter. And we had one of those in my home, and my father used it for all of his correspondence, and I learned the basics of typing on a manual typewriter. And the next one to the right is an IBM Selectric electric typewriter, which is what they had when I was in high school. And that dates me, I get it, that's okay. The one next to it is an IBM word processor. And I saw one of those for the very first time and got really excited. I was in my early 20s, and I was at a job and I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Well, it's kind of like a typewriter, but it remembers what you type." And I thought that was the greatest invention ever. And so I wanted to learn that. The next one on the next row on the left is the early computer. Then we had the tower. Now we have Surface Pros. I didn't even put the laptop versions in there. But really what we have is what's in the right-hand corner. That's the phone, the computer in your hand. And if you look at the telephones, I don't know, I had one of those ones on the wall at my house when I was growing up. I had, it was green though. It was olive green. It wasn't yellow. That was the one we had in my kitchen. Only phone. And you could remember everybody's phone number back then. And then you moved into the high-class princess phone. If you really, when I was on my own, and I bought one for my house and was buying the stylish one then. And then we had the early Nokia phones, which I went to. In fact, I had a cell phone only before it was popular in the in the 90s. And then we had the flip phones. We thought those were the coolest thing. And then, of course, there's a whole iterations between that smartphone that you see, which also is our phone. Two technologies have converged, and it's in the palm of our hand. If you were doing your job with anything in the first row, top row, you're not doing them with that now. You can't. You can't compete if you're still trying to do things the old way. Technology happens, and we have to adjust. And I have learned every single one of those. I've learned how to use every single one of them. And I hope you have too. So you need pad and paper. And I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to give you a minute to write down as many answers as you can. And then we're going to talk. So I want you to answer the question, why is change so hard? And I will set my timer. We're going to go through these pretty quick. So why is change so hard? Write down as many reasons as you can think. We have 20 seconds left. No. Not yet. Okay, you can stop. So I'm going to show you some of the reasons I know. And if you wrote it down, cross it off your list. And if you come up with, when I get done with mine, if I haven't said one that's on your list, then I want to know what it is, because I want to add it to my presentation. Okay. So the first one, it's just nickels and dimes. Fear of change. Right? We're afraid of it. It's something new we don't know, we don't understand. Okay? So if you wrote down you're afraid, cross that off your list. All right, next one. Instead of risking anything new, let's play it safe by continuing our slow decline and obsolescence. It's risky. Change is risky. How about this one? No thanks. We're too busy. We don't have time. We don't have time for doing any change. How about this one? Implementing these changes won't be easy. We're pretty set in doing things the wrong way. It's not easy. It's definitely hard, right? We like it the way that it is. I want you to find a bold and innovative new way to do everything exactly the same way we've been doing it for 25 years. We like it the way it is. How about this one? The announcement of the changes really went well. It's going to make people angry. People are going to be upset. Upset people might make them mad. Okay. So, given that, did any of you, we'll start in the room, did any of you in the room have one that I did not say? Or did I hit all the ones you had? Yeah, okay. Is there anyone on the visiting with us virtually that had one that I didn't mention? Yeah, yeah. Out of your comfort zone. Uncomfortable. Go through that list one more time really quickly. I missed one. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. So we got a lot of reasons not to change. Right? We got a lot of reasons not to change. So we still have a lot of reasons to change. But before we get to that, I want to ask you the next question. How do you initially respond to change? You personally. Do you use any of those? Do you embrace change? Do you think it's great? Do you love it? Do you jump in with both feet and don't even check the depth? Or do you wait? Do you procrastinate? How do you initially respond to change? I'll give you 30 seconds on that because it's just one answer. It's gonna be good. Normally in a big group, I get you together and you talk with each other and you just kind of share ideas. And so this is a little bit different than that, and it's a little bit more fun. Okay. So let's see again. Let's see if you can identify with any of these I'm going to share with you. We don't believe in change. Fine. Be like that, particularly if you're change, right? You just don't believe in it. How about the next one? I don't want to change. I want all of you to change. The not me syndrome, right? I don't want to change. Everyone else can change, not me. I don't need to change. That's how I respond. What if we don't change at all? And something magical just happens. Denying that change needs to occur. I propose we respond to the latest dynamic initiative with unbridled apathy. Don't care. Don't care. Right. We need an urgent response to our productivity problems. Why don't I think about getting together with a few people and drawing up some preliminary draft proposals for a possible strategy framework that we could think about sitting down and talking through? Procrastination, delay. That is a very interesting thing that I have seen in the political arena, and I don't mean national politics, I mean state politics here in Alabama. If they don't want to do something, politicians at the State House in Alabama, they just say, well, let me look into it and let me check it out for you. And it's pretty effective for trying to put off change to do anything. Okay, how about this one? Do you fear change, Frank? Oh no, these days I need every penny I can get. Obviously you're afraid. That's one way to respond. And then of course, embracing change. So how do you respond to change? I think you embrace it. Okay. You're a procrastinator and okay, and
I think I'm always apprehensive initially, but then I can get on board pretty quickly. I feel like my gut response is always like, but I'll get on board.
All right, so you think you embraced it. He thought he did, but he procrastinates. You're apprehensive, but you get around to it. Okay, what did our folks on our virtual call say?
Also procrastinate, and usually I like to do that.
Sometimes people embrace change. Well, we'll do that. Hold on. Okay. So you have to know what your style is, right? So if your style is that I'm anxious, right? Then you know that about yourself and you can get past it, as you said. If you know that you're a procrastinator, then you say to yourself, well, all right, I eventually will get this done, but it's going to take a little bit longer, right? You need to know that about the folks that you work with too, by the way. You need to know your team's response to change. Who's going to be the person that's going to be the apprehensive but get on board? How do you work with that? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so the next question is, why is it necessary? You can write down as many things as you think of as to why it's necessary. I'll give you a minute. Okay. So see if you've captured any of these reasons why change is necessary. Literally, change happens. Caterpillars to butterflies. Right? People can change the way that they think. People can change a lot of things. And businesses can change, as they have seen overnight. Life evolves. How about this one? Okay, kids, who needs help turning back the clock on their phone? Come on, Dad, whoever heard of manually setting a clock? Technology changes, as we've already discussed. And I know a friend of mine who took before Disney World closed, took their grandchild to Disney World, and they were staying in one of the rooms, and the child who's 5 goes over and sees a phone and says, what is this? And he says, there's a phone, and says, why does it have a tail? Right? Technology changes. Okay. How about this one? Obviously, unexpected interruptions. Things that we could not have foreseen have dramatically changed our business world. Okay. So, you've got the way we always did it and change. What has stayed the same in your life? I want to ask each person in the room, and I would like those on the call to do the chat. What has stayed the same in your life? What can you think of? Relationships have stayed the same. Okay. How about your car has stayed the same. Okay, your car. What has stayed the same in your life? No, in your life. What's a constant that's been in your life? Your relationships. But where you live has changed. What you wear has changed. What you eat, has what you eat changed? Have you started liking foods you didn't like as a child and not like things that maybe you used to? Right? So relationships are a constant. A car. What do our folks on our chat say? Ambition. So the way you think about something. Okay. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. Anyone else have anything? Okay. So change is happening, right? So we know why we're afraid. We know why it's going to happen. We know that things haven't changed in our lives, and so should change happen? Of course. It's always time to change. Always. And in fact, one of the things I say for you, so this is a program for leaders of not-for-profits. One of the things you have to remember is that any staff departure, whether it is a longtime employee leaving that you hate to see go, or it's somebody that you're helping out the door, or it's an abrupt change that you hadn't planned because somebody got transferred or other things happened. Every staff departure is an opportunity to restructure your organization. Every time. Every staff departure is an opportunity to restructure. So I'll give you an example of what happened with that, the Community Foundation. We had an employee who their husband got a job in another city, and they were trying to make it work, and it just was becoming challenging. They were driving 2 hours a day back and forth from work to come, and so they just made the decision that they needed to go, and they were a great employee. And they managed a number of certain things. And I took an opportunity to sit back and say, what does my organization need right now? What do I need right now? And you know what? I restructured. I gave some of that person's job to other staff people, took some things away from them, moved a few things around, and I hired a technology specialist in November. And let me tell you, that was the greatest choice in terms of hiring that I made, because come March, we needed her desperately. And we had our own technology person on call for us 24 hours a day to continue to do our work, right? So every departure is an opportunity to restructure. And you have to look at it positively, not negatively. And that's pretty much the message is that, you know, it's always time for change. But is there an easy button? No, darn it. Although I would love to have an easy button for a number of things in life. This is one of my favorites. And this is our corporate planning group around a crystal ball, hoping somebody else will tell them, you know, that's the version of the easy button, right? So there's no easy button. There's no crystal ball for change. Okay. How about this one? If you're making change, this is a Dilbert cartoon. We're hiring a director of change management to help employees embrace strategic changes. And Dilbert says, or we could come up with strategies that make sense when then employees would embrace the change. And Ross says, well, that sounds harder. Okay. It is hard in one way to involve everybody in the change, but you don't get the result you want. And if you just hire somebody to tell people that they need to change, it's not going to happen. And so it's a waste of time and money. So I'm going to give you an example of what I'm including my entire team in a decision that we're making right now. The Community Foundation has continued to grow, and it became apparent to me that I was needing to get a bigger physical space for us. And so I, a couple of years ago, began looking and finding the right space. And in December, we found the right space. It was going to cost us some money. We're going to have to do renovations, but we found the money and we made an offer. It was really the perfect place for us. And they turned us down. They wanted twice what we were offering them. And we had done an appraisal on that property and it wasn't worth twice, and so we walked away. And we didn't buy that space. Well, come March, I didn't need it because March, every employee in my office went home and worked. We had the technology, hardware, everything to be able to walk out the door of our office and go home and work. And we've been working towards that for several years. So now I didn't need a space at all, much less a bigger one, right? So it helped me. Any change is an opportunity for improvement, right? So I said, thinking to myself, do I need a bigger space now? And the answer is, I don't think so. I don't think we need a bigger space. I think I need to restructure my current space. Now, what I'm thinking about doing is, I'm thinking about getting rid of my office, right? I'm the CEO and I'm going to give up my office completely. And I'm going to make it so that we put everybody's degrees on the wall in my office, everybody's. It's not going to be my office anymore. It's going to be the executive office. And anyone can book it and anyone can use it. So if you want an executive type of space to work in, where you're meeting with a donor, you're meeting with somebody, you want a desk, you want that official space, they have access to it. They just have to book it. I'm going to make another conference room. I'm going to, we have something we refer to as the living room. It's a small little settee and a couple of chairs. It's a little living room space with a desk. It's somebody's office. Get rid of the desk, buy more furniture, have a meeting space that we can meet with families, more couches, more comfy chairs, have a conversation where we're involving the entire family in philanthropy, if they want to do like a family foundation type thing. Right. Get rid of everybody's office except a couple of people. The technology person needs one because they got a lot of stuff. We have a reception space. We'll keep it. We'll take the accounting department and downsize it into one small office. We'll take one office and put some stuff around the walls so that you can walk in and you can work for an hour or two if you need to, but everyone's going to work from home. I mean, if I'm buying them a laptop and a printer anyway, it doesn't matter if it's in this building or at their house, it doesn't matter, right? If I'm going to need supplies, it doesn't matter if it's in this building or it's at their house, they still need supplies. Right? Now this is huge, right? Because everybody thinks I feel more important than the better office I have. I mean, all of our movies are about the CEO with the corner office, right? The more important you are, the better your office is, right? So this is a huge change in thinking, right? To say, you're not going to be defined by your office space anymore. Of course, I have to lead the way as the CEO. I have to give up my space, and I'm willing to do that, right? What I think will happen is that we will then become more committed to this whole area as my space. I have the use of this, and I have the use of that, and I have the use of this, and all I have to do is book it, right? I can use it. But I can tell you, I can't go to my team and say, you're going to do it. So I said to my team, so this is what I'm thinking. And I told them what I just told you. What do you think? They all kind of went deer in the headlights. Oh my gosh. Might have been some anxiety there at the beginning, right? Or I don't know if we need to do this right now. You might have been going, hey, sounds like a good idea. Everybody's on a different place. You have to know your team. You have to know how they respond to change. And some of them are going to take more time than others to talk about it. So I've had one-off conversations with quite a few of them already. Where are you at? What are you thinking? One says, well, I don't think your idea of that one mixed space is really, I think we need to do it a little differently. I said, okay, how? Right? Getting the feedback, right? But this comic, this Silver comic, is really saying you got to do that if you're going to do change in your, if you're going to do change in your not-for-profit. You've got to involve your team if you're going to have everybody on board to go and move in the direction that you want to move it in. Because what happens if you don't, and they don't like it, they will sabotage you. They will procrastinate. They'll get angry. They'll do something that will make it so that it doesn't happen because they didn't buy into it. If you don't have a team that can come together for the whole team, you've got one person that's a holdout that's wanting to sabotage it, you've got the wrong person on your team, by the way. You need to help them find a job that fits them better, right? Because as a team, you have to be able to say, okay, what's the common good? What are we going to accomplish? If 90% of you all think that this is a great idea, then I have to agree, even though I don't agree, I have to say, yes, I'm a part of this team and I'm going to go forward and we're going to move forward and help make that happen. But if you got somebody that's dug in and they're not going to do it, that's a whole different personnel issue. So one of the tips on getting change to happen in your organization. Here's another one. I love this one. Take your time, right? It doesn't have to happen today. And a lot of times leaders think that it does. Oh, I've made a decision. I have thought about it for 3 months and I've made my decision and we will do it tomorrow. Well, they might need 3 months to get on board with this idea and think it through and feel comfortable with it and say, okay, I'm ready to go forward. So this whole thing about my space, I've told them we're not going to make a final decision until the end of the year. I need to see how some things go and I want you to think about it. I'm going to give them a whole, basically half a year to get used to this idea because it's a radical change that I'm going to make in my space. Don't rush it. It was your first day. Why not give it another 12 years? Because she goes to school and comes home and says, I don't want to go anymore. Execution takes time. Don't judge the success based on early results. It's kind of like, I saw the movie Ford versus Ferrari the other day. It's been out for a while, but I saw it for the first time. It's about the Le Mans and how Ford won over Ferrari. And they go for 24 hours driving around this track. Early results do not determine the winner. Stay the course if you're going to do the change. So how can you manage it successfully? Here's my tips. Ideally, we're looking for someone who can handle change. Right? Have the right mindset, number one, always. And hire the right people. A lot of times, the CEO's job is to hire the right people. And that can be tricky. Take your time in hiring. Don't hire just because you got a job and somebody has to fill it. Make sure that the person that you hire has the right mindset that you want for the vision for your organization. And it's okay if they handle change in a variety of different ways, just know how they do it and why they take, and are they a team player? And don't try to do it all at one time. Take it one step at a time, right? My first step is, here's my idea. My second step is, I'm going to talk to people individually. My third step is, I'm going to give them time. My fourth step is, hey, if y'all think it's a good idea, I'm going to tell the board that I think this is what we need to do. Get them used to it. And I'm going to say, okay, then this is my plan. And then I'm going to say, this is how much it's going to cost to make the renovations. And this is when I'm going to do it. And you know, this probably won't take place until spring of next year. Right? It's okay. One step at a time, have the plan. And know that it's a process. I can't do it. To get them to want to do it, to how are they going to do it? They're going to try. They know they can. They know they will. And then success. It is not just one step at a time in your planning. It's one step at a time as you're thinking. Making sure your team knows that. People think that success looks like a straight line. Success looks like, what was it that a long time ago, this shows me, when you had the newspaper and you had family circle, some of you will know this, and the children would go all over the neighborhood just to get across the street. That's what successful change looks like. It's not clean, it's messy. Keep your eye on the prize. Be flexible on the detours because they're just another little piece of change that you have to deal with. And do it as a team. You have to do it as a team. So I will share this with you. As a kid growing up, you successfully learned to walk and talk and chew bubblegum at the same time. You tried new foods, went to interesting places, made friends, lived in a different location, and did many more unique and unfamiliar things. So take heart. You can navigate change. It's in your DNA. We already know how to do it, right? So I'm going to leave you with this thought. My little red sports car. So one of the things that we will all encounter at some point in our lives, unless we have driverless cars, which may happen, is that we will have to stop driving. Maybe you've already had to try a chat with your grandma, grandpa, parents, who knows. Maybe you know somebody that shouldn't be driving. Their depth perception is off, their vision isn't as good as it used to be, their reaction time is poor, whatever it is, at some point in our lives, we can't drive anymore. And many of us, most of us, refuse to give up. We think that we're going to lose our independence. We think that we're going to lose who we are as a person. And so we continue to drive way past the time when we should, and we are the cause of accidents. And we shouldn't do that. Here's what I'm going to do when I can't drive anymore. I'm going to go out and buy that red sports car. Now, I got to make sure that I can get in and out of it, right? So it probably, can't be something way too low to the ground. But I'm going to buy the cutest little red sports car. And then I am going to take a picture of it. And however it works, at one time you could have put it on a bulletin board in a high school, but maybe now it's social media. You post it on social media, Facebook, probably maybe something else in the future, I don't know. And I'm going to put a caption under it, and I'm going to say, need community service hours. Drive little old lady to the doctor and the grocery store. And make sure that I'm appealing to 16-year-olds with brand new licenses. I will get applications. Kids will want to drive my little red sports car. And while I'm in the doctor's office or in the grocery store, they're going to be tooling around town pretending it's their car. Okay. Right? And I'm going to pump them for information. I am going to learn about who's dating who and who's selling drugs to who. And I'm going to learn everything that there is to do about what's going on at that high school. And then when I play bridge or whatever game it is, I'm going to play with my little old lady friends. I'm going to be talking about all that stuff and not about my latest ache and pain. And it's going to be exciting and it's going to be fun and I'm going to enjoy it immensely. That's how you embrace change. You say, bring it on. Let me find a fun way to do this. Let me find a great way to do this. I hope that you can do that too. So, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate you. And if I can help you in any way with your philanthropy or your not-for-profit, feel free to contact me. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Cool. All yours. That's it.
Hey, so thank you all for attending today in person and online too. If you guys have any questions, you can pop those in the chat right now. Any comments? Philip Hall says, thank you so much. Patricia Falcon, Barry Center says, thank you, Jennifer. Great info. Don't see any more comments and questions, but again, guys, this will be this has been recorded. This is it's been on our website later today. If you want to watch it later, feel free to. If you need Jennifer's information, contact info, just email me. I've got that. I will stop the recording now.